Are we finally to the point where the Cubs might now benefit from the Cody Bellinger trade?
Well, I sure hope so, because Cody Bellinger's, I wouldn't say he's having a massive 2023-like season, but he's been better in their ballpark. Cody Petit is not even in the organization anymore. So in terms of the trade, the Cubs for sure lost it. But if you go back to the offseason, we know why.
It was a salary. It wasn't Cody Petit. It was a salary dump.
Yeah. It was a salary dump, but also if you look at the roster objectively, there was no spot for him. Like you had Kyle Tucker in right field, PCA in center, Ian Happ in left, and then Seiya Suzuki was going to be your DH. A lot of people argued, well, he could play some first base. It's like the guy's making $27.5 million. The Cubs are not going to pay this guy to be a platoon guy who's not even a right-handed bat to platoon with Michael Busch. You know what I mean? Like,
if he were a right-handed bat, I think he'd still be there.
Yeah, I think there would have been a much better argument to be made by fans to say that he should be here. Now, we, and I mean me and you at least, and I think a lot of people thought that once they did that, they were going to use that money to go get a pitcher or maybe more relief help. And
they told us they were going to spend the money.
Yeah.
Tom Ricketts is the one that said at Cubs convention, it's not a salary dump. We're just going to use that money differently.
Right.
Okay.
He said, he's quoted saying that at Cubs convention, that he expected the Cubs to be at luxury tax levels, like first-tier luxury tax levels. I think when he said that at the time, I thought that meant on opening day.
Right.
So this month is before August 1st, like this is where you put your money where your mouth is, Tom, because this season's been awesome. It's been fun. We've had a lot of good moments, fun moments, and a lot of developments internally on this team. That's why they're one of the best teams in the National League. But we're still $30 million under the first-tier luxury tax, and you're the Chicago Cubs, and you're charging anywhere from $14 to $18 for a beer. So
that's why I asked at the very beginning, now can we finally see the Cody Bellinger trade being a positive? Because now at the trade deadline, they do have $30 million to play with, where they can, frankly, they should have more than that, because they should be willing to go over it. But like, we know they have that money sitting there. And I suppose, devil's advocate, I don't know if I believe this, because like you, I thought, let's spend it now.
Yeah.
Let's go get Bregman now.
Yeah.
Okay, and spend the money now. But devil's advocate, I guess you can look at it and say, all right, we're almost to the trade deadline. This is the season Bellinger has had. We have forgotten about Cody Bellinger because of Seiya Suzuki's season as a DH almost.
Yeah.
Right? It's because if Seiya bombs out this season as DH, now people are throwing pitchforks at Wrigley Field, because now they're really mad that Bellinger is gone. But devil's advocate, you could look at it and say, the way they did it, assuming they spend the $30 million now, could be the right path, because if they'd done it before the season, you didn't know Justin Steele was out for the year, and you didn't know Tyone was going to have this calf injury now. And so you might have spent the money or the capital, meaning prospects, on something before the season that you didn't really need when it was important at the trade deadline, right?
Right.
Like, you could have spent the money all on offense, and in reality, we look at the offense and say, well, it's better than we expected it to be.
Yeah.
So you don't have to spend a ton of money on the offense. We know where they need to spend it, starting pitching and another bullpen arm.
At the very least.
And so that might not have been what they would have spent the $30 million on before the season, because of not knowing where the injuries and needs were really going to come from. So it's possible, I'm being kind, it's possible the Cubs played their cards right, and now we will see the Bellinger benefits.
Yeah. Well, the whole Bellinger thing, if you look back at it and you ask, well, why didn't they get more for Cody Petit, or get more than just Cody Petit? It's, well, no one wanted to take on $27.5 million for what the production that Cody Bellinger gave the Cubs last year. And as we sit here on this recording, he has a 2.5 Fangraphs WAR now. That's already better than last year. 2.1 last year. He's 5 homers away from hitting his total from last year. I think the ballpark factors have been a massive reason to why he's had a better season offensively this year, playing at the Mickey Mouse ballpark in New York. But to me, that's the overarching reason. I think the Cubs wanted someone to take the entire contract. And I think you can sit here and make an argument to why maybe they should have ate some of it. That way you could have got a better deal. But the Cubs, this is their time to really make up for that, because as much fun as I've had watching this team, sitting here $30 million below the first-tier luxury tax when you're Chicago Cubs is really, really annoying. So they need to spend this money, Luke.
Yeah, I mean, it was trying to fit sort of a triangle into a circle hole, right? Like, I get that. He's a left-handed bat, first base, where you have another left-hander. And so I will say again that I believe the Cubs are fortunate and they're not hearing more heat because of multiple things. Number one, Seiya.
Yeah.
Number two, the offense. And number three, most likely, Michael Busch and Kyle Tucker. Like, the left-handed bats are producing.
Yeah.
So they don't miss Cody Bellinger's left-handed bat.
Right.
Now, you could say they do sort of miss his versatility, and you could have moved some things around. And could you fit Bellinger into left field and Happ go somewhere else? Happ gives you a leadoff man, and Happ gives you a switch hitter. And he's won the gold. I'm not saying Cody Bellinger couldn't have won a gold glove there, but the way you went about it was about freeing up money to use, apparently, at another time. Here we are, Cubs. How are you going to use the money? How are you going to spend the money? Make sure you spend it the right way, but more importantly, make sure you spend it.
Yeah. And you know, for the argument between him and Ian Happ, I mean, him and Ian Happ aren't much different in terms of the numbers. I think Bellinger, I would guess, has a little bit better offensive numbers than him. His K rate's significantly lower than Happ's, but similar home run count, 122 WRC plus. Ian Happ is basically that every single year. So, and Ian Happ's cheaper too.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, PCA's development has helped buy him a little.
And also another thing too is, like, if they kept Bellinger, then that would have blocked us from seeing Ballesteros. Or I think if Tucker or PCA got hurt at any point in the season, knock on wood that we don't see that, we would have seen Owen Casey or Kevin Alcantara or whoever. So you have to think about that too. Is if you had kept Bellinger, you're blocking a young player that, you know, we've all been kind of sitting here waiting to see if they could be part of the future. We're sitting here in July now, and I think we all feel like a lot of those guys are going to get traded for starting pitching. That's another conversation. But if you go back to December, I think that was part of the argument that I made, at least. So I'm happy that Bellinger's having a good season with the Yankees, because I always liked him with the Cubs. And 2 years ago, I was obviously, me and you both were like, he needs to be a Cub. Like this, he just had a great season. This offense is going to be nothing without him. I think in hindsight, I guess maybe you could argue that you should have just let PCA run and go through all of this stuff last year. Maybe breaks out earlier instead of in August. But at the same time, like,
I like the way it worked out.
Yeah, I'm fine with the way it worked out. And you got Kyle Tucker and you got Seiya Suzuki, you know, and Michael Busch. So
just remember, when you see Cody Bellinger playing against the Cubs, this is the time to make that trade right.
Yeah.
And the Cubs have an opportunity to go do it right now before the trade deadline. And even though a lot of people like Cody Bellinger as a player and as a person, and I think they probably still do, they might be better off now without him, which is hard to say, but it's possible it could work out that way if they make the right additions at the trade deadline.